seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes! Welcome along to the Bhoycie bus, the S Express. Is what we're calling it tonight. Saturday night tickets, please. All aboard and all that. Carry on. You know what I mean? The world's just getting a wee bit morbid out there, man. I can't be fucked with it, man. I'm sitting there like, can I put on the radio? No football. I'm sitting having a couple of cans anyway. Why not just get the bus fired up, revved up, and let's have some patter, man. There's nothing else for it. I would love to say I've got like, a really great show planned ahead, guys. I've not got a clue what we're going to talk about tonight. I generally don't. But I was just like that. Do you know what? If I hear one more acoustic version of some pishy pop song when you turn on the radio, and I was like, I'm putting it on out of habit or something, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like propaganda, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, everyone's got a right to mourn. And if you don't want to mourn, don't mourn. If you want to watch cricket, that'll be open. If you want to go watch rugby, that'll be open. Want to watch a football? No. Don't be so daft. I mean, it's annoying because, do you know what I mean? I think this weekend would have been, I'll be honest, I think it was, who was it? Who the fuck was it? Was it Mark who was saying on the Thursday night, COVID saved Gerrard's arse as the passing of the Queen, and I'm not getting into, I hate the Queen, I love the Queen, all that carry on. But her dying, has that saved Gio? Because them going to Pittodrie, us at home to Livingston, had the ingredients for one hell of a fun weekend. Do you know what I mean? I think we all know that deep down in the heart of hearts. This weekend could have been the weekend. You're one of those weekends where you reflect on, do you know what I mean? Like in May, when you're lifting the trophy and going, mind that weekend in September. That's when it was won. I reckon there was a chance of that happening this weekend. I think they're on the ropes. We're on a high. It doesn't matter if we got beat 3-0 against Real Madrid. Livingston aren't going to bring that sort of box of tricks to the table, are they? I highly doubt it anyway. And do you know what? We went toe-to-toe with Real Madrid for the 40 minutes that we did. We don't go toe-to-toe Livingston if we play even half like that. We would have went, straight out the traps. How are we all doing in the comments anyway? Because what you need to remember is when I do these I'm going to try and do them like every couple of weeks, just myself. It doesn't necessarily need to be a Saturday night, but this is how the channel began. It was just me becoming what is now Celtic's most interactive, Celtic I'm not calling it fan media because fuck that, because that's not what we are. We're just Celtic fans talking about football on YouTube and Spotify. But like, I'm not calling it fan media or any of that nonsense. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what colour of jumper Ange's wearing. But what I would say is, this is how we always, like, when we began, this is what we always did. It was just me bringing up the comments and us all talking, having a laugh. So, I'll try and do more of that as well, because I think it's quite good to be able to get into the banter. There's some big names in already, like Dan Breen's joined us, Stephen Hargett, the Egyptian King, big Liverpool fan. Never even joined up the dots that Egyptian King meant Mo Salah, by the way, until the other day. Teresa Lyle, yes, what's happening? Stephen Murdoch says, fucking right, Boyce, well said. No idea what I said. Blue Baron's in. He says Gio made the most ridiculous comments ever after the IIK. I mean, it was, how do you describe it? So it was, if that's Gio's version of, like, as a shot over the bow, as you would call it, right? Like, see when the managers, you know how Scott Parker kind of, I don't know if you any of you follow English football talk, but Scott Parker got sacked for Bournemouth because basically he went, this team isn't capable at this level because I've not been supported. It's kind of the same thing as what Gio's saying, but also with, he's dressed it up a wee bit by saying hundreds of millions, which obviously he knew you're not going to get at Rangers. But what his real point was, we qualified for the Champions League and we've not signed a player. What do you want me to do? We can't compete. So it was Gio being, that really polite way of, it was like his really polite way of sort of saying, I've not been backed. And once that goes public, I don't know if you remember, Bob McBob, don't forget the two bears. I'm talking about your team, the new mate. I think like when Brendan Rodgers started very subtly using terms like Marion Shved, yeah, I'm sure he'll do well for the club. I think before that he'd said Terminado, stuff like that. And I don't think Gio's trying to, engineer a way out of Rangers, but I think what he said, Blue Baron, was take the heat off me here a wee bit, because any team that qualifies for the Champions League and then knows they're going to be £35 million richer and doesn't bring in a player in the remaining 7 days of the window, whatever it was, do you know what I mean? They're going to be a wee bit fucking... Do you know what I mean? That, like, I think the manager's got every right to kind of... He's defending himself. There's a bit of self-preservation there. He's been in the hiding of 2 4-0 scalpings, but he's lost good players. He's lost his best player, Calvin Bassey, and Joe Rebo, who apparently was brilliant. Kids and grown-ups love him so, the happy world of Aribo. I mean, I thought he was okay. I thought Bassey looked a real player last season, but only for like 6 months, do you know what I mean? But they've not replaced him really adequately. And I think Gio's comments, yes, they looked a wee bit frail, Blue Baron, but what I would also say is he's got to self-persevere a wee bit. As for Matthew Duff comes in, belter of a jacket. I mean, you'd think Diesel had Celtic in mind when they invented this jacket. I've had it for years, man. When I used to own the Boozer, like, in fact, he was actually cutting my hair at the time. He owned a hair salon in Stirling, and he just came in and he goes, Boyce, there's a jacket in TK Maxx. You need to buy it. He goes, if I had the money, I was going to buy it for you, and just like, because I know you would have wanted that much, you'd have paid me the money back. And I was like, that's pretty, like, that's pretty bold. I was like, how much is it? He was like, 90 quid, but it's reduced for like 375 or something. So I was like, well, what does it look like? And he goes, it's Diesel, it's a size small, and you'll just know. That was all he told me. But he was right. I just knew. So cheers for the praise, Matthew, mate. Means the world. Means the world, man. Bob McBob, not offering Balogun a year's deal was criminal. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, Bob, we always have banter and all that shit, right? If you want to have a wee bit of real debate about, your team and our team and all that, I'm all for it. And I think when a 33-year-old free transfer for Wigan, if that becomes criminal, he's not getting renewed for a deal. When you're going up a rung in competition, he's another year older. He's not had a career of that much repute. he was a good player at Rangers, not a great player. If that's what's criminal, I just think that maybe your aspirations aren't as high as what you think. I mean, yeah, it'd be an easy year signing to have made because he'd be buzzing with it. But is that really what you're looking for? I'm not convinced. T-Bone McBone, your jacket looks like a game of Minecraft that's crashed. What's Minecraft? I remember Minesweeper on the old Windows. I remember that. But I've no idea what Minecraft is. But well, the bus has crashed many a time. It's crashed many a time. And Craig White Legend says it's like an explosion in a paint factory. How many paint factories you been to? I'd love to go to a paint factory. Is everyone having a wee drink tonight? Is everyone having a bit of fun tonight? No? I don't know. It'd be great if I could have background music on the bus, eh? But copyright and all that prevents you from doing that. We'll just have Brian Cadigan's song playing on repeat. That'd be all right. 60 people in live, though. Welcome aboard. And you know what? The real reason we're doing this is generally, I mean, as I say, I like doing like the wee one-to-one shows because that's how it began, but I just feel it's a wee bit morbid than now out there, you know? It's like, come on, like wiping all the scheduling on every radio station, every TV channel. It's like, fuck me, I'll step up to the plate. Do you know what I mean? Paul McQueen comes in, top lad. I like Paul. And he's saying Balogun is better than Goulson, Sands, Suter, and Hollander. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. Stephen Hargett is smoking a fat one. No idea what that means, mate. Stephen Murdoch, half steaming. I hope you are, mate. I hope you are. That's what it's all about. Oh, John Duncan enjoying a wee glass of red. That's what it's all about. Bring your own bottle on the bus. It's the S Express. I know some of you will be too young to know what the S Express is. Then there'll be some of you of a certain vintage that know all about that song. And then there'll be some of you of a certain age who were out dancing when that song came out. Google it because it is a tune. The S Express. Search on YouTube, whatever it is you do to find your music. I mean, the campaign for Balogun right now is very much in full throttle, which is absolutely fair. But I don't get it. I think at the end of the day, the real winners this weekend were Rangers, right? No matter what anyone tries to dress it up as, and we could talk about Balogun till the cows come home. He wouldn't have been there this weekend, and their away trip to Pittodrie was becoming daunting. Our home game against Livy just felt more, that's going to be, we'll take care of business. Could we be doing it on the back of more drop points? I think there was a good chance. I think the script was there. I think they've got away with it a wee bit because at the end of the day, every other sport's been allowed to go ahead now, so you can paint your badges black and white all you want. That's entirely up to you. Again, I'm certainly not in black and white tonight. But what I will say is, if the fixtures went ahead, I think this would be a very, very positive weekend for Celtic. But what does the bus do in times like this? Because I love doing the Bhoycie bus. You know that every one of you that join, it's brilliant fun and we'll have a laugh. But the numbers recently has been like, what? This is mad. We've done it's like 27,000 in September already. In August, we did 27,900 or something for the whole month. It's crazy. So what we're going to do, when we're doing these shows and it's building a wee bit, is we're going to try and have some more fun when there is international weekends or weekends like this that are unexpected and there's no football on. So what we'll do tomorrow, and it's going to be brilliant, me and Terry are going to go live for a post-match pish of Celtic 6, Rangers 2. But we're going to do the first half of the show as if we've just came, we're just doing the show live after the result. We'll be talking in the present tense, if you will. And then we'll probably cut it after half an hour and go, right, retrospectively looking back and the impact of that game and all that. Do you know what I mean? That's what the plan is for tomorrow's Sunday sesh or post-match pish, because it's not right that we have to lose a channel that's tiny. I mean, fucking, we're talking about pence here. Do you know what I mean? That it makes pounds and pence, but like, you don't want to lose that momentum because of stuff that's out with your control. You want to keep giving some content to you fuckers. You know what I mean? Folk are bored of all the normal stuff. Do you know what I mean? And like, why not try to just use your imagination a wee bit? And you know, I think it'll be fun to see what would a post-match pish have looked like in the year 2000, 22 years ago. And we'll be talking about, you know, the lineup, players we thought were maybe on their way out, that Martin O'Neill seems to have revived, and the feeling around the team at the time. It'll be great fun. And we are going to be in character doing it as if we are reflecting on that 90 minutes having just finished, as we normally do with a post-match pish. The Boycie bus meets Back to the Future, says Ryan Kelly. Who says the bus can't go back, mate? You know, Phil McGinley, whenever he's got the keys in his hand, he's taking us on a time machine all across the world, and now he's going back in time via Celtic. I don't know if any of you've seen last night's show. We were talking about Neil Lennon's second season. It was insane. So many aspects of that were insane. We turned around it. We worked out it turned out two things. I don't want to do too many spoilers because it's a good episode, really good episode. But we worked out that if Neil Lennon had just won the league in 2010, 2011, where we had it in our hands, he technically blew the 10 each side of it. Because if we would have been on one in a row, if he'd won the league 2010, 11, and we would have won 10 in a row the year before, he cost us 10 in a row if he'd won it then. So twice he's kind of cost us 10 in a row. But I was speaking highly of him, you know. But oh, there's Ali. All right, Bhoycie, you have single-handed saved the weekend, mate. That's what I want to hear, man. I just think it's, you know, I think at the time that, you know, every station's entitled to go like, oh, we'll cut away from our normal broadcasting because we've got big news. But then I'm like, now the next day though, like, why are you still playing like fucking power ballads and that like 24/7? Like, you're trying to depress folk or what? Do you know what I mean? Just seems a wee bit weird to me. Seems a wee bit weird. But aye, so we're gonna do, but before that tomorrow, and again, I'm doing a wee bit of fucking promotion here as well. Why not? Tomorrow we're also gonna have the Sunday Blether still going ahead, usually around 10:30, 11 or 11:30. With Regan and Mark Kearney. Brilliant combo. Regan's just, I'm so proud of him. Everything he's done in the show. He got 2.6 thousand views last Sunday for his show. He was over the moon. A big thank you to everyone who tuned in. And him and Mark always have brilliant debates. So they'll be doing that, you know, at brunch time. And then we'll go on about 6 o'clock for some couple of pints of Guinness with our man Terry Robb. And reflecting on the 6-2 win that Celtic achieved this weekend. So that'll be a bit of a laugh as well. Douglas Hughes, he's going mad with no football. I know. And this is what I'm saying. I'm kind of trying to come up with ideas to try. It feels like you're in lockdown a wee bit again, Douglas. You know what I mean? You're like this weekend. It's a wee bit like going back to those days. And I just cannot be fucked with that. It's like there was no need for the football to be cancelled. And I'm not going to get into my thoughts or political beliefs or any of that carry on. It's really not my style. Do you know what I mean? But the one thing I will say is, you know, I went to work yesterday. I went to work today. Only a half day, right enough. But I did do my job the last 2 days. No problem at all. So did everyone else. You know, other sportsmen are doing their job today. Why is football the only one targeted? Do you know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Big Red comes in. It's like being back to pre-season, cold turkey. It's crap, innit? It is so crap. Gypsy King Regan is a legend. I love the Sunday shows. Me too. I love them as well. There's Terry Robb there. Terry Robb and me will be in the year 2000. So I'll only be 13 years old when we start the show tomorrow, Terry. I don't know what age you'll be. 30, 31, mate. It's great when no one else is on. I can just get away with being a cheeky bastard. Bob McBob, what is your general occupation, boys? I mean, Bob, I just want you to think about what you're asking me right now. Now, of course I'm not going to answer that. Like, of course I'm not. You don't get away with telling people what your job are when you flagrantly support one team or the other. Do you know what I mean? So, no. Sadly, mate, I can't be telling you that, pal. Where's the black tie, Jim C asks. I'm afraid there is no black tie. We are full of colour. We are vibrant. We are energetic. We are the Boycie Bus. This is what we do. We stay happy. We stay positive. As John Duncan says, the cricket and the rugby went ahead. Why couldn't the football? Do you know what I mean? I'm a hooker. If I was a hooker, I'd be richer than what I am right now, big boy. No, certainly not. But obviously, I wonder what you guys' thoughts are on the fact that, okay, Livingston at home on paper looks a very favourable fixture for Celtic. Of course it does. But also, when you weigh it up, does it suit us maybe just to get two, you look how we started the SPFL fixture list, right? 7 days apart fixtures. Started like we've came out the traps flying. Could that be a good way, first Champions League game, an education in the second half, but a lot of bravery and a lot of encouragement from the first half? Next game, nothing in between, 7 days to solely focus on Shakhtar Donetsk away. And by the way, judging by their result against Leipzig, we might need to be a hell of a lot more tuned in for that fixture, because I tell you what, they must be one hell of a fucking team. Paul McQueen comes in, and this is what I was talking about the other night, mate. He's spot on. People working in stadium match days losing out on wages as well. 0-hour contracts. Of course, it's 0-hour contracts. Sitting on the ticket turnstiles. Remember the folk who used to have to check, whether you had you were vaccinated, and on that silly app. What was that called again? Oh, fucking who cares? But see when it comes to that side of it, I always think as well, like, I employed a girl at the pub who also did a lot of work for the catering company that provided for Stirling Albion match days. Now, I know for a fact that will all have been taken care of if Stirling Albion were at home this weekend. I don't know if they were or not, but say they were, I know that the catering company who's got the contract with them, that's all done. All the prep's done by the time that announcement's made that the games are off. How much is that catering company losing out on? And that's one example. The security staff, the ticket booth people, of course they're on 0-hour contracts. You're absolutely right, Paul. And they're all missing out. And this is all okay because, well, actually it's only a postponement, so they'll get it sometime. Cost of living crisis. People are living hand to mouth right now. They don't get to go, oh, well, when it's rearranged in February, at least I'll get my money then. Come on, let's get in the real world. Vaccination passport, that's the one, Ryan Kelly. It feels like it, feels ages ago of that shite. Boy 67, I think I could get you in the paper if you sang They're Going Bust next to Martin Compston. I think you could, mate. I think you could get me in the paper. But I don't really know Martin Compston well. In fact, no, I don't know him at all. Ryan Kelly, Bhoycie, yourself and Terry would need to wear something similar at the time of the 6-2 game also. It would be a laugh if you tried to lower your voice. Am I sounding too loud tonight? Apologies, mate. I'll tone it down. We'll talk like, welcome to the Boycie Bus podcast. Great to have you all on here. I'm joined by Terry Robb. Terry, how are you? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about Celtic's 6-2 win in the Glasgow Derby. Amazing scenes. We're going to give it a minute by minute, blow by blow account of the fixture. That's not us, is it? Just no. We'll be jumping about, man. Do you know what I mean? And we'll be talking about it in the same way we do post-match pitch, jumping from one goal to the next goal, talking about moments in the game that we've only paid attention to and no one else has. That's just what it's all about. So, it will be fun. But I mean, that's what has to happen. I have to cover things like, 6-2 wins for 22 years ago just to keep the bus rolling right now, whilst people play, judge and jury with the football. As always, the Blue Baron, won't you think of your poor Queen, Boyce? And I'm sure you're saying that tongue in cheap, Blue Baron. Good to have you all on. To make myself sound younger. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do that. What else are we going to talk about? Let's talk about Marian Shved. There's a good talking point. He scored again this weekend for Shakhtar, by the way. I don't know if any of you have seen that. What is the curious case for Marian Shved? Again, like I was alluding to earlier, Brendan Rodgers, I'm sure he's a good player. I'm sure he'll do very well for this club. But he was talking about it in a sense that was, I've got no idea if he's any good or not. Do you know what I mean? It's like the club signed him. He was letting you know that via the media. And the strange thing was that Marian Shved, my memory of him is he curled an absolute pearler in. He came on as a sub and within like 5 minutes, curled an absolute peach. And I'm sure it was in Europe. It was in a European qualifier. Someone could tell me in the comments for Celtic. On his left peg, boom, curled it, top bins. Looked a bit of talent there. Never really given a run out after that. He had a stunning misses too. But I've got no idea what happened there. And by the way, the club he came from, he'd won Ukrainian Young Player of the Year. I nearly said European Young Player of the Year. He won Ukrainian Young Player of the Year. And now is back in Ukraine at arguably the Ukraine's biggest team. So he's obviously still got a decent reputation there. How does this happen at Celtic so often? That guys come in, that you're hoping are going to do well. I was saying it the other night with Mark, the amount of 2 million signings that we seem to make. In fact, I was saying it last night on Nostalgia. We always think a 6 million is a big gamble. But the amount of 2-3 million signings, we just seem to try that. And if it doesn't work, we'll just patch them. You look at Bio, Shved, who else is the other one? Klamala. Guys like that. I mean, we've claimed we've made our money back on it. I'm not convinced by that. These all Banguras of the world. All these 2-3 million ones that have just been complete gambles. Under Ange, it doesn't feel like that, of course. But it just seems so weird. It seems so weird to me that Shved was never given really that much of a chance. And now, despite his career, in our minds, our ignorant minds seem to have been on the side, as a Ukrainian, he's now playing at one of the biggest, if not the biggest team in his country, scoring goals in the Champions League, in the league as well this weekend. And he will be pumped up to play against us. I think the game's at a ground we've got a wee bit of history in as well, Legia Warsaw. So could Shved write his own script in this game? Could it be? I don't know if you remember this. Some of you might be too young. Some of you will be more than well versed. But remember Harold Bratback, who, when he signed for Celtic, Bratback, he was like, he'd scored against AC Milan. I think he scored a double against AC Milan for Rosenborg in the Champions League. I think he'd scored against Real Madrid or something like that as well. We signed him for 2 million, and of course he scored the goal that sealed the win against St Johnstone to stop the 10. But realistically, his goal return on that was pretty poor. We let him go back to Norway for, I don't even think there was a fee involved. Martin O'Neill's Celtic, sound the klaxon. Martin O'Neill's Celtic play against Rosenborg away, a team we were expected to at least get a point from. Bratback in the Champions League at 31 years old scores 2 against us and they beat us 2-0. Could not believe it. And you just want, because you're thinking, he wasn't all that good, to be honest with you. Could Shved do a similar thing in the same competition? There's Patrick McLaughlin. Better no day a Bratback. Exactly the comparison I'm making. It's one that concerns me. Do you know what I mean? Matthew Duff, great question. We'll move on from the Marian Shved things. It's a bit, it gives me the fear a wee bit. I like this for Matthew. Does Ange do all of the scouting himself, or has he brought in a team? There's not much transparency regarding that topic. Let's look at it in 2 ways, Matthew. So, first things first, Eddie Howe came in the media this week and has kind of admitted that Celtic job, I needed my whole team with me because of the pressure that the job came with. I mean, all I could think about was the wee shite emoji. Do you know what I mean? And a handbag emoji beside it, because that's all it is, a shite bag. But Ange just came in, dropped everything, which should concern us. Dropped everything very quickly to leave Yokohama Marinos to join Celtic. Of course, it is a step up, but he could see other clubs as a step up as well. We need to be careful of that. If he did drop things carefully, that's another topic. But anyway, he came on his own. There was no announcement of any director of footballs. We all were told it's going to be a new model at Celtic, director of football manager. Remember, Matthew, the Enzo Maresca rumours, and it was going to be, what was he called? The guy for, was it Man City? Sharkey. Fergal Sharkey. It sounded like that. I know that wasn't his name. That's the singer for the Undertones. What was he called? Fucking Sam Harkin or something. Anyway, he was meant to come in director of football. That didn't happen. Then Ange seems to have came in, and I've touched on this a few times in the bus, Matthew. I've got the feeling Ange likes to be able to have the best of both worlds. I think he wants to pick the players that he signs. I think he had a list that you wouldn't believe. There's no denying all the guys from Japan, you can rest assured, are all Ange's recommendations. They're all his, bona fide, done. I also think it gives him a bit of weight as well, where he could go, oh, I've got no help. I've had to do all this myself. But I also think he likes being a lone. Fergal Harkin, that's the one. You know what I mean? Fergal Sharkey. The same thing, innit? I definitely think Ange likes it being all on him. But I also think there's a bit of fucking savvy up there where he could go, well, look at the tools I've been given. I've not been given anything. You finally brought in Mark Lawwell, but I'd already won the league by then. You finally brought me in a coach, but I'd already won the league by then. So I think he's quite savvy that way. I think he's a bit of a control freak, so he likes doing it all on his own. But I also think he could play the it's not my fault card, really, when you look at the tools I've been given compared to the tools Celtic were willing to give Eddie Howe. I think that's pretty savvy. It's pretty smart. The other thing that Ange is doing right now, guys, and we've spoken about it on the bus already, I think it's such an important point to keep reiterating. Ange is also very savvy with his contract status. And it's great to think he's Uncle Ange. And you could go, at Christmas time and go sit on his knees if he's Santa Claus, you know what I mean? And he's this sound as fuck guy. Ange is very much a part of modern football. And modern football loyalties look amazing, but don't fall for it too much. We learned that with Brendan Rodgers, didn't we? Or did we? Or is people falling the trap again? Ange on a rolling contract concerns me. Ange can play the media so well when it suits him, so we should all be looking at it and going, when he says, oh, I don't pay attention to contracts, mate. Oh, don't worry about that stuff. I just focus on the football. Well, I take that with a pinch of salt. I think that's him playing it cool. This guy's too meticulous to not be all over his contract situation. Look at what he does with the football team. So what he's actually doing is he's pushing a narrative that, I'm just this cool guy, doesn't worry about that. Come on, do me a favor. What it means is it suits him. It suits him not to have that long-term contract locked in. And we have to get that sorted. We absolutely have to get that sorted, because for me, any business protects their assets. It's that simple. And I think we all have to admit, whilst none of us wanted Ange to even consider making a move to Brighton and Hove Albion. See, once you've seen him top of odds checker and you've seen that screenshot, probably someone shared it to you in a WhatsApp group, or you've seen it on Twitter or whatever, it did make you shite yourself a wee bit. It does. And it also highlights the fact how fragile a rolling contract is. Now, Brendan Rodgers joined Celtic on a rolling contract. After 12 months, after the success he had, we nailed him and tied him down to a 4-year deal. That paid dividends because we got £9 million. As much as he was the rat, he left Celtic in a far better place than when he took them over, and he earned the club a top 10 world record managerial transfer fee. That isn't leaving a club in the shit as much as we like to portray it to have been. And if he were to have went to a Brighton the next week, I don't see it. Say he was, we would need to really look long and hard about why we didn't have him secured in a long-term deal. Matthew comes back in. Cheers for the comment again, mate. I definitely do think Ange has a side to us that he doesn't show us, a very secretive character. Of course he does. I just think it's so important that we don't. We've got to learn from mistakes. Ange says all the right things. Of course he does. But he's also in a ruthless business that people always describe as a short career. And I also think he's joining the party of European football very late in his career. So it's not about Gary says I'm ruining his Christmas. Don't worry about it, mate. Because just, this Celtic board that everyone's now, you're not allowed to say keep an eye on the board. I got absolutely pelters for saying that in the summer. But if you were to keep an eye on them, you could say, did you offer Ange a new deal? Now, I know a lot of people get access now to fan pressers and stuff. Here's a question. Here's a wee tip for you now. The transfer window's shut. So there's no player recruitment needed to be talked about. Ange, in the height of the fact you've been, on numerous lists being linked to the high-profile Premier League job in England, and the fact that you're on a rolling contract, has the club ever approached you about committing your long-term future to the club? Could you imagine anyone having the balls to ask Ange that? The answer is no. But then you have to ask yourself, why? Is it because you don't want to lose access? Is it because those comfy seats you want to keep? Is it because you've not got the balls to see what the answer is? I mean, these are so important. Now, I just think, that these are questions you would have to ask. A guy's on a rolling contract that's brought nothing but success to the club. The last time a manager came in and had a similar impact was Brendan Rodgers, and after his first season, he was tied down in a long-term deal. Ange hasn't been. Has the club asked you, Ange? Have you ever had talks about a new long-term deal? Why doesn't anyone ask him that? It's a good question to ask. Stops the speculation. It's great. People keep coming in saying he's going nowhere. We've not got him protected, though, do we? It's great to think that. He's not protected. He could do whatever he wants. Ewan Boyman, he's committed to Celtic and he takes us to a higher level. That's brilliant. What if a big club comes in? We've not got our asset protected. I'll keep saying it. Andrew's here for 3 seasons minimum. 2 shots at the Champions League to see how far he can push us. Lovely theory. What if a top 6 EPL club comes in during that time? He stays at Celtic. Okay. We need to be real. You need to protect your assets. That's what's important. And it's not about, Rooster, I agree. This is what I'm saying. Of course it doesn't stop managers leaving. I've just literally gave you that example. But Brendan Rodgers got us in the top 10 managerial transfer fee records in the world's ever at that time, £9 million. I don't know if it's still in the top 10 now, but when he left, it was. And he left the club in a far better place. So let's get real here. Any business, I ran a business for 6 years. You protect your assets. It's the first thing you do. If you have an asset, you secure it. That is what you do. You do not fall for people's sound bites in the media and them pulling at your heartstrings, because that's not business. That's not on paper. That ain't a contract. And I think it's folly for us to emotionally again sign a contract with our manager. That is what we did with Brendan Rodgers. That's why he's called the Rat. I mean, is everyone paying attention to that? I don't get it. I think it's so simple what I'm saying, and I also think there is an onus on journalists, fan media journalists, whatever they want to call themselves. You're at these media conferences. Our manager is being highly linked with an EPL club. Has Celtic ever approached you about a new deal, Ange? If you've not got the balls to ask that question, why the fuck are you there? But anyway, I don't think he would go to Brighton anyway, by the way, for the record. All I'm saying is, when you see the link, it highlights the vulnerability of a rolling contract as opposed to a long-term one. That's what I'm saying. And these links and being second favourite, as the Blue Baron says, for the Brighton job, that surely, but I would like to think Celtic have offered them it. But anyway, I'm not sitting here being para. Mark Kearney, let's go for the positive. Mark Kearney thinks the Ange homecoming tour, remember the one that Rangers joined with us? Blue Barn will remember that. Remember you were coming to celebrate Old Firmness in Australia and celebrate Big Angie's amazingness, and then you bottled it. Well, Mark Kearney has a theory that Ange may sign his contract at that tournament. How cool would that be, ladies and gentlemen? That would be that's PR genius. I mean, it would just be brilliant. I can't take credit for the idea or the notion. Mark Kearney gets full kudos for that. But that would be Celtic really playing it clever. Ange here, Ange with the shirt back to front, 5 years or 4 years on the, the big number 4 in the back, outside that big stadium that we're playing at. Don't know what the name of it is. That would be awesome. And that would be very clever. Let's hope these plans are afoot. Let's hope, as always, I'm thinking, a wee bit too deeply or whatever, but that's the way it is. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Let's just have a wee bit of fun because it's Saturday night, guys. In case you hadn't forgotten, I know the rest of Great Britain are, pissing the bed right now. But we're here to talk about positive things as well, or have a wee bit of a banter. So, who's going to be Celtic's Player of the Year this year? It's that simple a question. Generic shite, probably. But who is going to be Celtic's Player of the Year this year based on what you've seen so far? My hunch is it's going to be Jota. What does everyone else think? Tell me now. Matthew, yes, Jota. Ryan Taylor, thank fuck this is on, boy. Hey, listen, man, my pleasure. I understand the mood of people, and I think there's a lot of frustration out there. Do you know what I mean? And I'm happy to play a tiny wee part in cheering folk up. Oh, Egyptian King. Now, Egyptian King, this is a bit of a contradiction of terms. O'Reilly or Hatate, 100%. Do you see where I'm coming from? That's a wee bit of a contradiction in terms there, mate. Kevin 14, he's also saying Hatate. But Jim Conlon says Matt O'Reilly. San Fran Celtic, good to have you on the bus. Joe Hart. I don't see that. But I love Joe Hart, and I like your loyalty to him. I don't see him being Player of the Year. Ryan Taylor says Jota as well, purely for value for money. I don't think you'll get the award for value for money. Kieran. Celtic are green, Sevco are blue. Will you stay with us? Ange Postecoglou. Jota or O'Reilly, says John Duncan. Elfin Priest, he thinks it'll be number 1 Jota, number 2 Rio, and number 3 Kyogo. Seems all very realistic. Hale times 2 comes in. Oh, he's getting into it. I don't mind this, mate. I think you're just, tell the truth. Fan media want fan access to ask fan questions, then forget they're fans with microphones and want to toe the party lines, get seat upgrades and blazers and ties. Know your role, jabronis. I'm sure everyone in Celtic's fan media circle are all good boys and girls. But yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt that maybe not consciously, but I think subconsciously, once they've got that access, they've subconsciously, I'm not saying it's deliberate, but they've chopped their own balls off. You know what I mean? They've been neutered and they don't have the balls to ask proper questions anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's such a relevant question. You're being linked with Brighton, an EPL team. You're on a rolling contract. Have you ever had talks to Celtic about securing a long-term deal? There's one. Hey, if someone's got the balls to fucking go do that for fan media, I would love to see it, and I would respect them massively for it. Paul McQueen to be Jota by a country mile. I do think Jota. Ali though comes in. Hatate for me. Ryan Kelly, it looks like so is the favourite so far. I tell you one thing though. See, just on that, Hatate against Real Madrid looked better than Jota. This is not a slight on anyone, by the way. It's just good fun debate. Hatate fucking looked classy against Real Madrid. I thought he was, he did a volley pass against Rangers that, sprayed it right across the pitch. See, when you're doing the same thing against Real Madrid, that is straight from a throw-in. The ball's above waist height. The technique is ridiculous, but the actual balls to do it, I like it. I think Hatate, for me, see the games he played last season where he had real high moments are nowhere near the level is this season. It's way above. He looks now an absolute dead cert. But I tell you this, There's a guy who won Player of the Year last year, Cal McGregor. I find it hard to argue that he was our best midfielder against Real Madrid. If folk who think maybe he's like a constant in the team, and of course he needs challenge because every player needs challenge, guys, right? Every squad needs competition, whether you're club captain or not. Everything evolves. If a team keeps getting better, no position is cemented. But Callum McGregor is evolving all the time as well. I thought he was fucking unbelievable midweek. What's everyone's thoughts on Callum McGregor's display? Because he played out his skin. I love that shout for Stephen Haggerty though. He's going to go for Taylor as Player of the Year. Again, what an improvement. What an improvement in a footballer. I had my doubts. I thought the left-back situation we should have improved on, not brought in another project to compete with Greg Taylor. I thought we should have went and got a bona fide left-back and seen if that improved Taylor's performance. But at the end of the day, fair enough. Greg Taylor is improving all the time. He's going up levels, undoubtedly. Rooster, Cal was massive against Real Madrid. Dan Breen, Cal Mack has raised his game second season as captain. I think so. I think he's now, the captaincy thing secondary now. Last year, I'll never forget the game. Cal Mack's moment as captain came at Ibrox. We are a goal down. We have had 7 minutes of relentless pressure by them, right? Cal McGregor is looking around at his team, particularly Juranovic, could not pass the ball 5 yards. We were starstruck. It was, I've never seen us like that. It just wasn't us. We were so taken by the occasion, we shat the bed basically. And Rangers were only 1 goal up, but it looked like they could be 2-3 within the first 10, 15 minutes. And Cal McGregor just decides, once he gets the ball, to take on 2 or 3 players. Just drive at them. Remember, guys, we can play football. That's the message he was sending across. It turns out it actually led to a goal. The point was, though, even if it hadn't led to a goal, he had just finally woke Celtic back into life. And I think from then, that was such a poignant moment in his captaincy, Dan. I really do think that. He's kicked on. And you're right, this season, it's like the captaincy secondary now. He's back just to playing his game off. And Real Madrid, there will be no tougher test for Cal Mack this whole season. What a display to put in against their midfield. And their midfield is a Rolls Royce. You've got Cruz, Modric, who've forgotten more about football than what the average footballer knows. And that Valverde just being the legs and being creative off. They were brilliant. And Cal Mack can walk away with that with his head held high. What a display. Jim Conley, Cal Mack is class. John Duncan, Cal Mack was class against Real Madrid. Cal was huge, says Elfin Priest. Bob, did he have his Zorro mask on? He's took that off now, mate. He's took that off. Ryan Taylor, Cal Mack's held this club together through the turmoil. That's a brilliant thing. Who's all going to be reading his autobiography? It's very interesting because I'm sure that'll do well. It'll be interesting to see how he's felt about, like, I think Scott Brown, we need to remember, like, when he left, big for players like Cal Mack. Say Tierney was still at Celtic, he'd have been like, what? James Forrest, for example, I bet he's like, at first, no Scott Brown. But that's what we do. We listen to the captain every day. Do you know what I mean? He was such a huge presence, huge persona. Particularly, I think Scott Brown really, really came into his own under Rodgers. For 2016 to sort of 2021, that was Brown's crucial years in terms of off-field influence. Because I think Brendan Rodgers turned him into a real professional again. I think there was a bit of a faction against Ronnie Dyler, which I'm not going to say I was totally in favour of. I liked the Commons Brown and that. I don't think they liked the changes because they seemed very drastic by Ronnie Dyler. But undeniably, he grew up a hell of a lot. In the last 4 or 5 years, he was such a huge presence, such a huge influence on so many players at Celtic that when he went, it would have been quite a lot of adapting for even the likes of Cal Mack. Fucking hell, there's no Scott. Oh, it's me. Wow, okay. But he's done brilliant. I've been very impressed with Cal Mack's captaincy so far. Edmund, hail. How we doing, mate? Good to have you on the bus. 107 watching live. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. I'll talk shite all night, man. I'm only kidding. I'm not really. We've done 50 minutes. This is probably my plan was probably to do half an hour. Oh, Applegard. Let's talk about him, Elfin Priest. You have a hunch he might be converted to left-sided centre back under Ange. Elfin, you'll need to expand on that, mate. What gives you that thought? The idea I think behind the Abildgaard one, and this again frustrates me because there's a couple of things about this, which I know it's a positive thing we've signed an international player, and to be fair, I've been very positive about it, right? I have been. I also, midsummer was like, are we doing enough here? Are we really supporting the manager for Champions League football? If you want to be cynical, Abildgaard's situation and Hacksaw's situation in Russia have been there plain to see for months. Their availability has been there, not to the last week of the window, way before that. Our Champions League fate was sealed way before that. Our known funds we could spend have been known all summer. Their known futures would lie away from Russia has been known all summer. Abildgaard, I believe, has been brought in to try the double pivot. I actually heard Ange using that terminology about Moria. You'll be happy to know in one of his interviews. And he was talking about Abildgaard playing in the pivot or a double pivot, which I found very interesting because the only reason we would ever use a double pivot would be in the Champions League. So why the fuck are we signing the guy 4 days before we play Real Madrid or 5 days before Real Madrid? Do you know what I mean? Where his availability must have been known for weeks, if not months before that. It's harder like Russia's invaded Ukraine just recently. All that shite's been going on. Players have been getting, free passes out of that country or that league for months now. So the Abildgaard one annoys me a wee bit because I do think there was a chance if Ange, and his public record, I've heard it come out his own mouth, talking about double pivots, Abildgaard playing in, then that can only be one competition, that's the Champions League. Now he's going to take weeks to get up to scratch, and you just feel like to get in the team could be a bit of a mission for him because we are in full flow now. Do you know what I mean? Loads of comments coming in as well. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. Always appreciated. Elfin Priest is back in the hunches because neither Welsh nor Yen seem 100% ready. I've never rated Felt, and I don't see how Abildgaard gets regular midfield starts unless he's fucking unreal as an all-rounder. Well, as I say, I can only go by what Anne just said. He definitely was talking about him as a midfielder. I promise you that. It was literally using Brown Warriors terminology about pivot and double pivot and that. I went, I hope Brown Warriors not listening to this because he'll be loving it. He certainly never mentioned him. He never mentioned him about centre-back. I wonder what the story will be with Starfelt this year. I think he's done okay. I think, he was part of the team that's on, a huge part of this team that's on 38 league games unbeaten. He started the vast majority of them, let's be honest. I am much more comfortable at the back when Jens is there, when the ball goes to his feet, than I am Starfelt. No two ways about it. Defensively, is Jens an upgrade on Starfelt? If so, borderline upgrade. Not much. Could we have pushed out and got a better centre-half in? I'll leave that to the comments. Does anyone think Jens is a huge upgrade on Starfelt? Or do you think he's just competition for Starfelt? Should we have been aiming higher than that? I know apparently Celtic didn't spend their full budget. Apparently that is the word around the campfire. And if they want to go again in January, they can. You just wonder why not just, rather than just like signing players of this level, why not sign fewer players but of that level? I don't know. It's each to their own on that, I suppose. Brown Warrior, wait till he brings up the term register. If I ever hear Anne say that, Brown Warrior, I'm going to give you the keys to the bus and you can call it the Brown Warrior bus, mate. You can take all the followers and just you do the show because I will die. No, you better never say that. You better never say that. Jens does seem more of a project than I'd have liked for that position. Yeah, it's strange. It is. It's. I like what I've seen from Jed, by the way. So it's not being like overly negative about him. I'm gonna go with Rooster though. Starfield makes you feel very uncomfortable. He's got an awkward style about him. However, if you flip it, Rooster, and you just toss across in the box in the SPL away from home, that ball's going there, and there's the likes of Kyle Lafferty et al. Jumping up for that ball. I think Starfield, you quite fancy to win a lot of those battles. It's because we have the ball so much, and you're stat daft, Rooster. We have the ball so much that you want all your players to look comfortable on the ball. And of course, the biggest examples you'll see of how you judge a Celtic player is when they're on the ball, because we dominate possession that much. So when the ball's going to Starfelt as often as it is, it's easy to base your judgment on how awkward and kind of uncoordinated at times he can look. But what is the other side of it he's bringing to the table? Does he win these 50-50 duels? Is he good at, I don't know, having that physical presence that, that is required sometimes in Scotland? I don't know. I think he's the long-term answer. I think Celtic should always be striving to improve on every position. There's nothing to worry about with Jens. It's an option to buy. Of course. What I didn't realise was he'd been at Fulham for 4 years. I don't know if you know that. It turns out him and Matt O'Reilly were at Fulham together. So they're like best pals, which is very interesting. Stephen Haggerty, Bhoycie, I think just looking at this Ange team, we are going places under him, getting signed up on the 5-year deal. This is the thing. Surely Celtic have asked that question. Of course they must have. It'd be an absolute derelict of duty not to have asked Ange, do you want to sign a new long-term deal? They must have by now. They simply must have. So he's either said yay, and they're delaying the announcement of it, or he said nay, and he likes being on the rolling term deal, which gives me the fear. The gaming da, mate, politics and that, man, like, welcome aboard the bus, the gaming da, but I don't give a fuck about who folk voted for, mate. Not my bag. And do you know what? I think 10 Downing Street looks like a shit house anyway, mate. So who cares about who voted for who, mate? Keep all that shit out of the chat. Not going to block you or any of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? But we're not going to be talking about voting the gaming da Saturday night. Do you know what I mean? This is the S Express. So maybe the bus, this is a different sort of bus. But talking about voting for fucking certain politicians and that, mate, no. Tell me your favourite song or something, do you know what I mean? Can't be arsed with that shite. Ryan Taylor Green Brigade could do a banner saying sign him up. I like that. Do you know what I mean? Over to you, and sign him up. It would be brilliant if you did. I mean, it'd be the signing now. The window's shut. Everyone seems to be very, very confident, convinced, whatever you want to call it, that the window's been very beneficial for the team, including, Champions League football, which is fine. We can all have differences of opinions on that. But I'll tell you this, the biggest sign Celtic can make is securing the long-term future of a manager that's brought our club together again. It's calmed the fan base down from Sharkgate now to borderline, worshipping, and almost now anything even Celtic do is getting like just it's amazing. And nothing's even, you're not even allowed to hold anything about Celtic to account anymore, and it's all because of the amazing stuff that Ange has done. Do you know what I mean? Matthew's back in and he's saying, Russell is my favourite song, Russell, is One Direction. That's what makes you beautiful. That's fucking embarrassing, mate. I don't know why I brought that comment up, Matthew, actually, mate, because me and you were getting on well. That's thrown me a wee bit. I hope it's got to be a joke. Ali says the S Express enjoying this trip. There's my pal Alfred. Yes, mate. We'll get a pint soon, mate. Don't you worry about that. Stubbsy Horse. I'm glad Boyce keeps moving on his seat with that top on. He would just blend into the wall. Mate, it's one of those wee spinny chairs, man. A wee spinner-rooney. So who cares, man? And the jacket's pretty cool, man. I think, but I've got to say that. No one else is going to say it for me, are they? Can we get Ange to sing the Hindu Times? Why the fuck would he sing that? In and out my brain. No, good tune, no. Good tune. Who did you vote for in the last X? Like, Jedward, man. Jedward. No, I never voted for anyone. You on the soups, Boyce? Absolutely, mate. I only have like a couple. Do you know what I mean? Fucking 34 now, so 2 and that's enough for me because I need to actually be able to sleep at the end of the night. And if I have more than that, then I can't sleep. Do you know what I mean? So I used to have plenty of parties like that, by the way, but no, I can't bother with that rolling about the bed stuff. So, 2 soups, and then wash it down with a couple of Stellas after, and I'll be sound. We'll wake up tomorrow, and tomorrow it will be, as I was saying to the 60 that we're watching live at the start of the show. There's 122 now. But like I was saying, tomorrow we're going to do post-match pish, Celtic 6, Rangers 2. And me and Terry Robb are literally going to be in character as if we were doing. So, like, what would the Bhoycie bus have been like 22 years ago if YouTube and all that were there? That's what we're going to try and do. We'll probably manage to keep the charade going for like half an hour. And then we'll start talking retrospectively just about how cool that was. Everyone's talking about the jacket now. That top needs a splash of colour. End up flying away with that jacket. The jacket's minted, man. I don't know what you're talking about. It's probably the smartest jacket in the old Celtic fan media sphere. I'm only kidding. We're not part of that nonsense. Anything else anyone wants to talk about before we go? That's been an hour. I can't really keep going much more than an hour of talking shite. Do you know what I mean? That Ryan Mummy, they've got it sussed, man. He just goes on for 15 minutes and he's fucking out of there. He's no daft. He is smart. I'm sitting here slaving shite for over an hour going, I don't even know what I'm going to say next. Do you know what I mean? Top man, Boyce says some rocky waters to sail with the comment section these past few days. Hell, well, I appreciate it, Kieran. And you're right. Aye, we've had to be pretty careful with the comments, and I know people feel very, very strongly about recent events, but do you know what I mean? It's not my bag to be talking about that. It's certainly not my bag to be talking about whatever that guy was on about earlier about Nicola Sturgeon and that. Do you know what I mean? Boyce, you'll need to talk as if your balls haven't dropped. My balls dropped by then, mate. Trust me. Smartest jacket in the G7. G-Unit, motherfucker. Rooster, thanks for the bus ride, mate. We needed that today. Monty's just jumped on, mate. Where have you been? You've been listening to you've been listening to radio too, mate. Do you know what I mean? Listening to Elton John and all that all day. Just feeling morbid about yourself. Elfin Priest, I see that comment. That's very clever. Egyptian King, Celtic, sign Ange up. I like that. Sign Ange up. Grand job tonight. Flying solo. Cheers, says John Duncan. Right, Stubbsy, we'll do the last talking point since you've given me one. Which position of the team is next for an upgrade? Certainly not in the wings. Certainly not centre midfield. Up front, I don't think we can upgrade on it. I think we could have strengthened. So that doesn't answer the question. I still think if you're talking about upgrading, not strengthening that position, but upgrading, then we can't upgrade on the strikers we've got. We can't upgrade on Kilgore, Giacomo, because we don't have that sort of, because they are top players. I think you could upgrade on Greg Taylor, if I'm honest. But that's not. But do you know what I'm going to say about that? And I'll be totally honest. I think even if we upgraded on Greg Taylor, there's something about this boy that wouldn't surprise you if he did the Tony Ralston and ends up, that sort of journey where you go, how did Greg Taylor become a left back again when we spent £6 million on one? He's got that. He seems to have that tenacity, that right attitude that Ange likes. That when the bar gets raised, he wants to match it. Could we upgrade on him, though? Essentially, yeah, I think so. I would also say that the debate we've had about Starfelt and Jens, I think they could be upgraded on still. I think the competition for their jersey is very much of a... They bring different skills, but I don't think there's a crazy difference between Jens and Starfelt. I prefer Jens, I would say, but not massively. Not like, thank fuck Jens is playing and not Starfelt. I wouldn't go that far. Could we have a centre-back that you go, him and CCV is awesome. That is what you want. I think we could. So left-back, centre-back. Aye, that would be what I'd be talking about. If in terms of upgrading, not strengthening options, upgrading is the question that Stubbsy's put in. So, aye, everyone in the comments is saying Lev Matthew, John Duncan, Monty, Robert, Ali, Egyptian Giggs, and probably another central attacking midfielder. Are you joking me? Stephen, let's see how this squad gets on. Of course. I think Celtic will go again in January, though. I think this is going to be... This is called evolution, by the way. You never settle with a squad. No manager's ever happy with his squad each window. You've got to keep building. We're only 4 months away, to the next window. I guarantee we'll strengthen the squad then. And maybe we'll lose a couple for big money, but we'll build it again. Provided Ange is still given the reign that he has been given so far. I think that's very, very important. Alfred makes a great point. Taylor has upgraded his game. It undeniably has, mate. It undeniably has. Rooster, almost 36. Hey, easy about folk in the mid-30s, Rooster. You could drop 6 million on a passing goalkeeper. I mean, I don't know. I think Siegrist has been brought in to challenge him. Predominantly a backup, but I generally think if Siegrist has anything about him, when he came to Celtic and they spoke about signing, I think he probably had assurances that, if I am impressing, will I get the gig? I don't think he would have signed if he wasn't told that. He's 30 years old, his reputation on the rise. You don't come to stagnate normally. Maybe you do. I don't know. But the Joe Hart one, yeah, could you improve on that? I think that'd be something you look at next year to upgrade. You can always upgrade in the striking department. Russell, provided you have top scouting and dough to spend. I don't believe, Brown, the dough it would cost to spend to upgrade on Kyogo or Giakoumakis exists at Celtic at this moment in time. So it's a very generic term you're making there. If you've got the money to spend in a scouting department, well, of course. But you can't say we've got the money to spend. I think Kyogo's a £20 million player already right now. I think Giakoumakis is upwards of 15 to 20 million. Let's be honest. If his team hadn't been relegated for the Eredivisie in Holland, he would have been £12 million for Celtic, not 2.6 million back then. So again, he's in that 15 million plus bracket. We don't have that to spend, so we can't upgrade in that position. But we always look to improve. Anyway, guys, we will call it a night. It's 20 to 11. Thank you for joining me. It's been brilliant fun tonight. And I'm here just to try and bring a wee bit of positivity, man, because I can't be arsed with all the morbidness on the airwaves. No sports, no Scottish football chat on your mainstream stations. Very little to talk about in the Celtic podcast sphere because there's no football. You can't blame them for that. It's not because they're on morning or anything. There's just nothing to talk about. Do you know what I mean? So I will call it a night there. It's been brilliant fun being on the bus. Thanks to each and every one of you. Please, before you go, hit like, hit subscribe. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, you have the right to do so, but none of the content will ever be chargeable. We'll be back tomorrow, and we are taking you to the year 2000. Me and Terry are doing a live post-match pish of Celtic 6 Rangers 2. How would the Boycie Bus have looked in the year 2000? Ask Busted, or ask Chris Sutton. Good night.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now. And you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.